Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 WA Mining Virtual Conference presented by Reed Exhibitions. In the spirit of reconciliation, Reed Exhibition acknowledges the traditional custodians of the country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. I am Samantha Martin, Marketing Manager for Reed Exhibitions, working across our mining portfolio of events, which include WA Mining Conference, Queensland Mining and Engineering Exhibition, and the Asia Pacific's International Mining Exhibition. I would like to start by remembering those who have lost their lives and suffered in all wars and armed conflicts to protect the freedoms we enjoy today. We show our appreciation for their sacrifice on Remembrance Day. Thank you all for joining us today and committing your precious time to hear from our truly amazing speaker lineup. In a year that has brought us many challenges and stopped us being able to come face to face for our WA Mining Conference, I sincerely hope you get great value out of today's sessions and they provide you with some key insights to assist in accelerating our rebound in 2021 and beyond. I would like to thank our Day 1 conference sponsor, Equinix, and our Day 2 sponsor, Controlled Systems Technology, for their ongoing support and assistance in delivering this conference. I will now introduce you to our MC for the next 2 days, Rick Gross. Rick is a former CEO of Mets Ignited, one of the 6 industry growth centres at the core of the Australian Government innovation policy. An industrial engineer by profession, Rick has been leading organisations to transform and accelerate growth for over 30 years. His leadership roles span across B2B, industrial, infrastructure, mining equipment, mineral processing and technology sectors throughout early stage growth and ASX listed environments. Rick has an extensive global network, is the chair of TI Mining, executive chair of Optica Solutions, and provides advisory support to emerging technology companies. Thank you, Rick, for facilitating this conference, and thank you once again to everyone in attendance. I hope that you enjoy the next 2 days of content, and I hope that you will join us again in 2021. Rick, over to you.
First of all, it's a pleasure to be back here in 2020 on what is fundamentally the second WA mining conference held by Reed. It's been an amazing year. It's one where the world over a period of 9 months has changed. I think that we all would have thought back in January this year, February this year, that we were going to continue on the trends that were emerging. But all of a sudden, it's amazing what can happen to an industry and the world economy on the back of something that was perhaps totally unexpected. Many would say that it was always going to be coming towards us. It'll be an amazing 2 days. I'm really looking forward to it. Andrew Charlton will be one of our early speakers, and he will be talking about the impact of COVID-19, particularly on the economy, where we are going to have Graham Stenway talk to us about how that's impacted the innovation ecosystem and the resource sector in particular, how that's changing the industry. We're going to have some wonderful speakers. Nicholas will, from TI Mining, will be talking about virtual reality. And in actual fact, how that business in some ways have accelerated as a result of the fact that the ability not to be able to go and see people has so dramatically changed in the last 9 months. I think Jackie will give us an update in terms of what's happening in Western Australia around the automation robotic test facility, which are fantastic, wonderful news for WA. And towards the end of the evening, we'll be having a conversation about hydrogen and where hydrogen is taking us. But again, an amazing year for us. I think our industry remains the largest exporter in Australia. It represents, well over 55% of our exports, 9% of GDP. And whilst the revenues from exports have decreased from about 290 billion to about 250 or 256 billion, and that's a forecast for the next couple of years, volumes of actually exports continue to increase gradually. Shows the resilience of our sector. So we're looking forward to a great couple of days, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for Reed for bringing a conference to WA, which is fundamentally one of the top 2 or 3 global jurisdictions for resources. So to get going, it's a pleasure for me to actually, just before I do that, just for everyone's understanding. We will be videoing, obviously all of this is video. The video will be shared to everybody in the next couple of days, and questions and answers will be taken up on the site and distributed. So please put your questions on the question bar, and we'll manage to try to answer those as the various speakers are progressing. So without further ado, I think the next step is to introduce our Minister, Bill Johnston, the Honourable Bill Johnston, MLA, Minister for Mines and Petroleum, Energy, Industry Relations in Western Australia. We all know Bill pretty well. He was sworn as the Mines and Petroleum, Commerce and Industrial Relations, Electoral Affairs, and our state first Asian Engagement Minister in March 2017. So without further ado, I just think it's really important to hear from our Minister. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. This time last year, we gathered in Perth for the first WA Mining Conference. We're now operating in a very different world due to COVID-19, but I'm pleased to be able to participate virtually today. Western Australia is home of one of the world's leading mineral and petroleum provinces. The success of WA's resource sector is underpinned by its geoscience expertise, strong legal framework, and a stable, welcoming investment environment. In spite of COVID-19, WA delivered a record $172 billion of sales in 2020. The state is the world's largest supplier of iron ore, accounting for almost a third of global supply, and the largest supplier of lithium at almost 60%. It's the second largest exporter of LNG, alumina and diamonds, and is among the top 5 jurisdictions for the production of cobalt, gold and rare earths. WA has substantial reserves of rare earths and other battery minerals, which are used to make electric vehicles and energy storage systems. The McGowan government launched the Future Battery Industry Strategy last year to facilitate growth and diversification and attract investment in this industry. 3 of the world's largest producers of lithium are already developing downstream processing projects here in WA, including Tianqi, Albemarle and SQM. The headquarters for the Future Battery Industry Cooperative Research Centre is here in Perth. This secures WA as a global leader in the production of future battery materials, technologies and expertise. WA's mining sector is supported by a world-class mining equipment, technology and services sector. The MET sector continues to make the industry safer for workers and improve the ability to efficiently locate, extract and process resources. WA's iron ore sector is a leader in the adoption of autonomous technologies. There are around 600 autonomous haul trucks operating in the Pilbara region, making it the world's #1 hotspot for driverless vehicles. WA also has the world's first and biggest autonomous train, Rio Tinto's AutoHaul. Perth is also home to the Australian Remote Operations for Space and Earth. This national consortium will position Perth as a global centre for remote operations in space. It will enable local industry and universities to bid for space exploration projects, including NASA's Lunar Gateway. Thankfully, Western Australia has begun its recovery from COVID-19 with a budget surplus. The McGowan government's $5.5 billion COVID recovery plan sets out the basis for restarting the economy and to get business and consumer confidence back up. The plan's priority streams include unlocking barriers to investment, unlocking barriers to mining, investing in renewable energy, and reskilling and training our workforce. Some initiatives include a $5 million boost to the Exploration Incentive Scheme, $7 million funding to expand the Joe Lord Core Library in Kalgoorlie, $3.2 million for a new ion microprobe for Curtin University, and an online one-stop shop for approvals through the wa.gov.au website starting next year. The McGowan government is committed to the recovery of the economy, and we acknowledge the critical role the mining sector has played to date. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. I look forward to another successful year for our resources sector in 2021.
Thank you, Minister. So progressing with So progressing with the presentation, I am pleased to introduce John Kondo from Equinix. Equinix is one of the main sponsors for this conference, and we look forward to hearing an introduction from John. John has a long career in IT and has worked with C-level clients across multiple industries to improve performance and align business processes with critical business strategies. John, over to you.
What really matters to business in a digital age? What moves it forward? What inspires it to reach past what it sees, to innovate? What gives it life? What will sustain it, no matter how fast it must adapt to what it can't see coming? Interconnection. Interconnection connects businesses in Asia Pacific to each other, one-to-one or many-to-many, directly, securely, with maximum speed. Interconnection takes business anywhere, across cities, continents, and oceans, close to wherever it needs to be. Interconnection enables the ideas that change the world. Equinix has built the world's largest global interconnection platform. It's called Platform Equinix. It spans Asia Pacific in all the top markets. It reaches around the world. It touches your users, your customers, and this platform is expanding. All the top networks are here. The biggest cloud providers, the most influential enterprises. They build thriving ecosystems inside state-of-the-art data centers. They build the future. And the interconnection here links you to all of it. With Equinix, you can reach everywhere. Interconnect everyone. Integrate everything. Platform Equinix takes you to the heart of digital business. When you build here, you can go anywhere.
John, pleased to meet you. I think the team in Western Australia is waiting for your wise words.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Rick, for your introduction. Look, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the WA Mining Virtual Conference. So Equinix, obviously, most of you may have heard of Equinix. Some of you may not have heard of who we are, but just to give you a bit of a snapshot, we are essentially the largest data center organization in the world. We typically look at businesses who want to kind of expand their global footprint, and we provide products and services which kind of suit. Here in WA, we're 3 years into the market. We've been in the market in Australia for about almost 20 years, but typically what we want to do today is talk about where we think the industry's heading, especially around the mining vertical. So look, just moving forward, from our perspective, we see Equinix has 5 top priorities with regards to the mining industry, where we've got a very, very mature model regarding mining. We've done, we've focused on mining globally for about 20 odd years. We've got some really good success stories, but typically, it's all about where we see the trends developing in mining, and namely here in Australia, more so here in WA. It's around accelerating digitalisation. Traditionally miners have been slow to adopt new technologies, but the need to change, automation, IoT, driverless trucks, the drones, etc., the data analytics, artificial intelligence, all that increases and impacts productivity. And obviously there's a big emphasis on cost efficiencies as well and time to market. So, the question for miners is, when will it all be digitized? And it's now. Okay, so miners aren't typically known as guys that dig stuff out of the ground. They're typically seen as guys that are forefront of technology, because technology for them is key. There's also things around digital innovation adoption. Okay. and the barriers associated with that. Due to the complexity of the ecosystems, the environments, the miners work in, whether it be in the remote north of WA or in areas within South America and even the Middle East, etc. Very remote geographically, very, very long, far away from any sort of digital ecosystem. So it's paramount that the efficiencies are kind of brought into the face to kind of make effective these technologies to the miners. Things around data analytics. Today's miners ecosystems. It's all about digital. And the collecting of the data and data mining is key. Right? So it's important that that these miners have access to close proximity cloud platforms in order for them to allow to kind of go through and do the analytics associated with the data and define what that data looks like. Obviously, then we've got things like mining leaders need to prioritise and investing what is important to them. It's all about time to market is key. So essentially, back in the day, it took weeks, maybe months, to kind of get a particular site in exploration mode. But with technology today, the advancements in technology today, it's all about it now takes days. So that speed and those efficiencies certainly have helped organisations kind of fail fast and then move on to the next project, which is key. And then obviously securing digital environments. Things like we've got more data means a greater need to focus on secure data processing. We've got our challenges with regards to a lot of the miners up north in the Pilbara and Newman areas around how do they get access to the data processing to analyse and share that particular data. So we've come up with a WA Centre of Excellence around mining, specifically for those particular business challenges in those remote geos. And I can talk to you more about that separately, but certainly it's something, a core focus for us. And we're working hand in hand with the digital providers to kind of come up with a proof of concept which appeases the miners and a lot of their challenges as well. And then talking about the strategic technology partnerships, I think I'll quickly just mention that previously. We're number one global partners with the likes of Microsoft Azure, AWS, Alibaba, Google, etc. Pretty much all the major cloud providers reside with us. So it's key that we make sure that our partnerships are strong, but we can offer real world solutions that kind of target and focus on delivering the right outcomes for the mining industry. Then moving on. And then we'll just quickly talk about where we are located globally. Okay, so we mentioned that we are the number one global data center organization in the world, but we're more than just what a data center is. As you can see, we're pretty much in every major continent. We've got our operations in South America, in the Middle East. We're actually growing out our presence in Northern Africa. We will make some announcements fairly soon. But as you can see, in Australia, we're fairly well populated. And we are growing. We're at 220 plus data centers globally. So we are growing at a rapid rate of knots, which is great. But what it does, it kind of just demonstrates our reach and allows our partners, our customers, to kind of expand into net new markets fairly seamlessly using Equinix as a partner of platform. So quickly talking about Australia, we've got 18 data centres. In those data centres, they reside in 6 cities, occupying 105 million square metres of actual space. Of which can you believe it? There's 335 cloud service providers providing services here in Australia. Obviously, the big 4 are the main ones, but then we've got the likes of IBM Cloud and those guys there, etc., which also reside to our data centres. But more importantly, all those platforms are available and accessible from Perth. We had an announcement yesterday actually. We just kicked off building PE3, our 3rd data centre here in Perth. So that takes our count to 18 in Australia. That's a $76 million investment. What that means for the Perth market is that it allows organisations to kind of grow out their presence in Perth, but also tap into markets within other parts of Australia, but more importantly globally as well. So certainly the investment where Equinix globally is making considerable investment in Perth for the reason that it sees Perth as a very, very strategic market, as a gateway both in and out of Australia. And I'll talk about that in my next slide. But typically, it's all about connectivity. How does Australia connect to the rest of the world? And that's really important for the miners as well, because obviously, as you can appreciate, data is key, and getting access to the right data and processing that data is super important in real time as well. So we'll talk about quickly how we're connected. All right, so majority of our connections are obviously through subsea cables, big cables that kind of reside in the water from various countries connecting into Perth if we look at the west coast of WA. So typically right now we've got connections, we've got 3 connections into Singapore. We've got the Australian subsea cable, we've got Indigo, and then we've got Simuwi 3. There is a new one proposed which will connect Oman, which is in the Middle East, directly to Perth, Australia. So that will be the first direct link cable into Australia from the Middle East. Essentially what that does, it directly connects the Middle East, Europe and Africa directly to Australia. So it doesn't need to go via Asia. At the moment, it's all connected via Asia and it puts its way up through that way. But and that's going to be that's a very, very big strategic play, and certainly from our perspective, it's super important that it comes into Perth, because it then allows access to the cloud service providers not only in this region but also into other regions as well, and that's really important, typically for the likes of Azure and AWS, but then within country, we've got Equinix has got connectivity which kind of connects into Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra, and Brisbane. So, and then we've obviously got a wet path as well, which goes from Perth to Sydney. So we're pretty much covered from a connectivity perspective. That allows our customers to connect via redundant multiple paths across multiple IBXs in multiple cities using what we call our Equinix Cloud Exchange Fabric. And essentially what that does is allows our customers to kind of control how they consume these services via their user portal. Now, Equinix, I'll quickly talk about what we do. We're more than just a data center. We're providing pretty much on-demand services, so consumption-based services. So essentially, if you're an organisation that needs network services, compute services, soon-to-be announced storage services, both in Australia but also globally, we can kind of offer those particular services on a consumption-based model. Minimum commit is like 30 days, etc., and you can turn that service up or down as you see fit. But essentially, what that does, it allows verticals like the miners to kind of then get into net new areas very, very quickly and very seamlessly without having to go through the logistics of organising multiple contracts with multiple entities. Essentially, all they need to do is kind of work out what the last mile looks like from the mine site to where the closest IBX is, and that's typically, with our help as well, with our global partners, to kind of get you into those locations. So it's a very, very seamless exercise, and we've got quite a few examples where we can kind of work through getting those challenges addressed and appeased with our customers. So I guess to moving forward with regards to where we are, Equinix, it's typically there's three parts that make Equinix. All the right places, all the right partners, and all the right possibilities. We're all about we're digital leaders around the world are bringing together, interconnecting fundamental infrastructure. We're all about making sure that they're successful. We want to make sure that we are the only platform that can deliver all of these industry-leading capabilities, and we've got a proven track record that matches as well. Our platform Equinix is different from anyone else's, as I explained. We've got the greatest reach. We're the largest in the world. There is no question. Basically, we've got all of the major cloud service providers. They're all our partners. They're all kind of sit within our facilities, etc. And obviously with the back end of the PE3 announcement here in Perth, there will be some announcements as well in that particular space, which I can't mention. but certainly it will be exciting for the industry here in WA. You know, we've got the largest active global ecosystem. You know, we've got one third of the world's cloud on ramps, and that's quite considerable when you're talking about 90% of the internet kind of travels through our facilities as well. So as you can appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, we're certainly in the right area to kind of help the miners kind of get through some of their challenges. But more importantly, where we've got the presence here in WA, we've got a big team here in WA, so we can certainly sit down and work through a lot of those projects or a lot of those questions that you may have with regards to the whole digital transformation. And essentially we are the most trusted platform. We design and we operate our facilities at the highest possible level, and the fact that we are so big is testament to the fact that we are probably the best in the market. We are the best in the market. But we can't do all this without making sure that we don't have the right partners as well. We've got a big selection of partners. So basically, we want to make sure that we work with the right partners on the right opportunities, delivering the right outcomes for our customers. Okay, so if you have any questions, more than happy to answer any of your questions via our Zoom chat. But with that, I'll say thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure.
Well, John, thank you very much for excellent presentation. Certainly, we found your presentation thoughtful, interesting, and highlights the level of infrastructure that's been developed and incorporated into Western Australia, and how the digital transformation that's happening across the world and impacting our industry in particular is accelerating. There's no doubt that data is absolutely central to much of the innovation that's going to be actually emerging as we actually progress.